I wonder if everyone has noticed a phenomenon. In recent years, with the growth of the shooting ability of big men, the small ball era has gradually returned to the most primitive mode of basketball. The importance of body size has become increasingly prominent. Many talented big men have emerged unexpectedly. Even for a time, the number one player in the league has returned to the center position. Among them, the most representative one is Jokic. Although he didn't defend the championship last season, due to the overall strength of the team, he won his third MVP trophy, achieving an achievement that even players like O'Neal, who is in the top 10 in history, have not achieved. In addition, the continuous rise of Embiid, Porzingis, Wembanyama, Chet and others in recent years also represents that the league seems to be returning to the center era. However, the centers in this era are significantly different from those in the era when O'Neal was active. For example, all the insiders mentioned earlier, without exception, have a three-point threat. In this issue, let's talk about the differences between centers in these two eras and where the power of insiders in the new center era. The last era in the league, when centers dominated, has to be traced back to the turn of the century. At that time, O'Neal swept the league with almost unrivaled dominance and completed the first and only three-peat in the 21st century for the Lakers together. With Kobe going further back, it was the prosperous era of the four great centers. In the 1990s, in addition to O'Neal, Olajuwon, Robinson, and Ewing, all had combat power at the top 10 level in the league. Olajuwon even completed 2 consecutive championships, while Jordan was retired for the first time. So what is the biggest difference between them and today's centers? Let's talk about the offensive end first. Traditional centers represented by O'Neal and Elijah are still most destructive in the low post area. On offense, taking a regular round as an example, the Lakers will set up a low post receiving tactic for O'Neal, and then let the other 4 people pull the defense on the perimeter to create a one-on-one opportunity under the basket for O'Neal. Of course, opponents usually release the defender on the weak side or at the top of the arc to double team. But as long as O'Neal in his prime receives the ball, it almost represents the end of this round. One person, 2 people, or even 3 people together may not be able to limit O'Neal. As a representative of technical centers, Olajuwon has another single play mode. He also gets the ball in the low post, but after receiving the ball, he usually uses the interior footwork technique that is unique in history to create shooting space under the basket or at mid-range before shooting. Although Olajuwon and O'Neal have very different offensive methods, the starting position of their hold and attack is still in the low post. Once they start attacking with the ball in the high post, their offensive threat will be greatly reduced. This is especially obvious for O'Neal. At the same time, their shooting is limited to mid-range. There is no requirement for three-pointers at all. Even if they have to choose between mid-range scoring and scoring under the basket, they will probably tend to the latter. But this era is completely different. We must admit that, with the innovation of technical playing methods and basketball concepts, centers in this era no longer have such a strong, low-post offensive ability, but their comprehensiveness has been greatly improved. From the perspective of initiation methods, although an insider of Jokic's level can also play singles in the low post, most top centers are no longer limited to initiating attacks in the low post. They will, like an outside player, hold the ball and play singles in the high post. The most obvious example is Embiid, the MVP 2 years ago. His playing style is almost like a tall version of a shooting guard. Most of his attacks are initiated from the high post. After a set of triple threat combos, he often ends the attack with a hesitation step, mid-range shot like a guard. For example, for insiders like Wembanyama, Porzingis and Chet, who are relatively thin, their confrontation ability in the low post is sometimes slightly insufficient, so most of their attacks are also hold and attack initiated from the high post. Among them, the Spider-Man, Wembanyama, can even complete extremely gorgeous technical moves, like Shamrock, like a guard. This was completely unimaginable in the past. At the same time, the shooting aspect is also a place where there is a relatively large difference between centers of the two eras, compared to centers in the 1990s and 2000s who had no requirements for shooting. Almost all top centers now have above average three-point shooting skills. Last season, Porzingis could hit 1.9 three-pointers per game, with a shooting percentage of 37.5%. This kind of data would already be the data of the league's top shooter in the era of the four great centers, and Jokic even shot a three-point percentage of 46.1% in the playoffs. In the championship season, this number would be nothing short of a fantasy. In that era, this situation is revolutionary for the playing style of centers. With the support of shooting, centers in this era can create more tactical changes. During pick and rolls, they don't need to attack the basket by rolling down. After every pick and roll offense, they can also choose to pop out after the pick and roll and shoot three-pointers under the screen, making pick and rolls harder to limit. After centers have shooting ability, the five-out playing style also emerged. Outside attackers have a much better space environment than before. Last season, the Celtics even achieved the NBA's all-time highest offensive efficiency with the five-out lineup. In addition, we should also focus on the differences brought by a certain center who has won 3 MVPs for this era. Jokic's playing style is of epic-making significance. Before this, although there is a tactic like the Princeton system that organizes around a big man at a high position, almost no one thought that a championship contending lineup could be easily assembled around such a big man. In terms of organizational ability, Jokic has almost left all centers in history behind. He can not only act as a pivot at a high position, like a center in the traditional Princeton system, but also create opportunities for teammates after attracting double teams in the low post. His passing technique is as ghostly and unpredictable as magic. After Jokic, all interior players, who are the core of the team, have started special training in organizational ability. Embiid has increased his assists to 5.6 times this season. Wembanyama even averages 3.9 assists per game. In his rookie season, under the influence of Jokic, the passing ability of big men is becoming more and more important and may even become the key to victory or defeat in high-level games. As for why the Nuggets stopped in the second round last season, perhaps Murray State and the management's failed reinforcement operations are more responsible. But in the era of the four great centers, organizing was actually not something that interior players needed to do. They only needed to learn to break double teams with passing. As for the defensive end, protecting the rim, which is the top priority for interior players, has not changed. In any era, an important criterion for measuring the defense of top insiders is still the rim protecting ability. Elijah, who had the best defense in the era of the four great centers, had a total of 3,830 blocks in his career, and Wembanyama, one of the best rim protectors among active insiders, won the blocks title in his rookie season with an average of 36 blocks per game. They both regard the area under the basket as the first area for defense and also have extreme blocking abilities. But in addition, in terms of post defense and switching defense, the two are completely different. In the era of the four great centers, interior superstars must have strong confrontation ability and be able to wrestle with big men in the low post. Therefore, the requirements for weight and strength are extremely high in modern basketball. Since there are too few centers with dominant low post ability, the post defense ability has become relatively less important. Among the examples we gave in this, Wembanyama, Chet, and Porzingis are all defenders who are not so outstanding in low post defense. On the other hand, the switching defense ability has become a standard for top interior defenders in modern basketball. Due to the fact that pick and rolls and mismatch defenses are too common, centers often have to be pulled out to defend. Small guards Wembanyama and Chet are both centers with first-class ability to defend pick and rolls, especially Wembanyama. Although he is 226 centimeters tall, his flexibility and agility enable him to face the challenges of any guard. Take a round where he defends Morant as an example. In this round, although Wembanyama was passed by Morant by one position, his reaction speed is really exaggerated. With a turn, he firmly pinned the ball on the backboard with his long arm. Wembanyama has agility that his predecessors could never match, and his switching defense ability is completely on a different level. Of course, if we are cautious, Olajuwon may not be included among these predecessors. Olajuwon was a man who could guard outside stars one-on-one in that era. His switching defense ability is also top-notch in history. It's just that the times are different, and there are not many opportunities for him to show his ability. I believe that if he were born in this era, his defensive evaluation would be even higher. It is not without reason that the DPY award is named after him. Behind the switching defense ability is a huge improvement in defensive agility. Therefore, we can see that centers like Wembanyama and Chet have a larger defensive area, and they can complete more threatening, help defense and sweeping. In general, due to the development of basketball concepts, modern centers and traditional centers have different emphases. In the era of traditional centers, physical combat was the first theme for interior players. Therefore, the four great centers were all giants, with extremely abnormal body types and strength. O'Neal, during the three-peak period, even weighed up to 147 kilograms. This huge body size and strength advantage gave them an overwhelming advantage in interior confrontations. In that era, with the support of body size, there is no doubt that the low post is the most destructive and efficient offensive method, without exception. At the same time, because players back then didn't have such a huge three-point threat, centers could completely stay in the paint or drop back to defend the interior and let the perimeter defenders go around the screens. So centers only needed to be able to protect the rim and grab rebounds. But under the requirements of the small ball era, modern centers are forced to improve their shooting. First, at the same time, offense also develops more in the direction of comprehensiveness. Of course, it's great if you are good at the low post, but it's not a big problem if you aren't. In an era when shooting from the perimeter is mainstream, no team will use the low post as the main starting point for most of their offenses. Being able to make a little floater near the rim is already sufficient. And when abilities such as low post facing the basket, organizing, etc. are all improved to 99 points, it will be an outlier like Jokic. What is required even more on the defensive end is that centers need better mobility. They need to be able to protect the rim, sweep and switch defenses, and be able to complete a series of demanding defensive tasks. Here we mention Jokic again. Unless you have his offensive ability and organizational ability, and can win the game just by offense, otherwise you must maximize your mobility. The times have created different appearances of centers. We don't need to forcefully compare who is stronger or weaker among them. In fact, it's impossible to compare. They are all big men created by their respective eras, and there is no doubt that in their respective eras, they are the best.